Welcome back, you guys. We are going to clean my house. Now, you're going to be shocked. My house is so exceptionally clean that this is basically me walking through an after shot of my typical house. But it's not, it's the before because I'm incredible. Look at how good I am doing. Look at how well I'm doing. Look at how good I'm doing. Look at how well I'm doing. It doesn't matter. Look at how amazing Bonkers Amazingville Express I am doing right now. It's incredible. So, I am tidying this whole house because I wanted to. It just felt a little bit cluttered and messy for me, and I was like really enjoying the Christmas vibes of my house. So I decided to tidy it all. Also, I am doing a live stream on this day. In the evening, we do a live stream, and I wanted to show you a little sweet potato, her poor little shaved bum kiss. You can't tell that it's shaved, but she does have a shaved butt, but that's okay. So I am going to be doing a live stream after this on this day. We are cooking, but I wanted to show you what my Christmas decor looked like in the evening with all of the candles lit and everything like that. It still doesn't translate nicely on camera. It still looks so much brighter, but the lights that I have, the little side table lights, the candles, and the Christmas lights, those are all a yellowy warm light bulb, whereas a lot of my house, I have the white light, like the bright white light for daylight, because also my house does not get very much natural light. Okay, so on this rug, I swept one way because I wanted the dirt off, but a lot of rugs, if you sweep them and brush up the hair, it can start looking washed out because there's a lot of, like, yellow fibers under it, and so I did a gentle sweep back the other way to make sure that that red stayed nice and rich on the carpet, and I think that's the only one that faces in the wrong direction because all the other carpets, when I swept them, it went with the grain, and so they all still look nice, and I so next time I will spin around that rug if there is a next time. Maybe I'll never sweep again, who knows? I know I have to clean my house again after Christmas because I have to take the decor down. Oh, that reminds me. So last night I was on a 2 a.m. perimenopause side quest where I got to wander and look at my things. I also checked to see if all my kids were in bed because I had a dream that Sonia had a boyfriend and I this is very early in the video for me to describe my dreams to you guys, but we're here already. She had a boyfriend who was much older than she was, and I was very uncomfortable with that. And he convinced her to go out trick or treating, but I thought they were going to go up to be in nefarious things, and I was trying to chase them, but it was really hard because I was dressed as like an inflatable minion, and so it was kind of and it had a fully inflate, and so I had a hard time navigating 'cause it was fully inflated. So that was my dream. So, yeah, at my 2 AM side quest, I did go check to see that all my kids were in bed. Because, like, what if it was a premonition and one of my kids had snuck out of the house? That would suck. So, head count, everybody was there, yay. But I was wandering my house and I just was so cozy and in love with it that it was worth it for me to put all of the decor on the ceilings, even though it took like 6 hours for me to get it done, and I know when I take it down, I'm gonna be equally pissed about everything. I absolutely am going to do it again next year. My whole house feels so entirely different. I think the rugs make another really big impact here, but especially when I turn you to go look in the living room, which is in mere moments, you're welcome, it looks like a whole different house. It feels so fully transformed, even though really the big thing is swapping out the rugs. 100% in love with it. Nope, it's my laundry room. Ha, losers. Oh, so I did discover, remember when I cleaned my laundry room and I was like, I don't know if these are clean or dirty, the stuff that was on top? I've discovered they were most likely already clean because when my daughter switched everything over, she put all of my hand towels, which I had been waiting on, so I knew that they were freshly cleaned and dried. She had put them all on top, even though there was a hamper in there, which is weird. So we're going to talk about that. But now I know that she will default to putting clothes from the dryer on top of everything. And then she'll start her own load of laundry and then wander off because that's as much as she feels like doing that day, which I completely understand. So I did start prior to the day starting. I had a few other things to check off my box. And so I did start my hand towels. They, I know you guys have seen it. I don't know if I really talked about it, but I have a bin next to my coffee machine. It's like a faux, not felt. What is the word? Suede bucket, and it's in the corner by my coffee machine, and that's where I put all of my dirty rags when I'm done. Also, miscellaneous socks get put there because I'm like, it's just like having a laundry basket. I think I learned that tip from Becky from Acre Homestead. I remember it was a long time ago. I think she was in her old house and she referenced the fact that she needed a laundry basket. She thought that would be good for her kitchen towels. She does massive cooking days that look like they take 12 hours, and she makes huge freezer meals or she's preserving and stuff like that, and she goes through a lot of hand towels. And I thought that was brilliant because I think it coincided around the time that I was listening to a homemaking tip situation. I don't remember what it was. Maybe it was a book, but she was talking about changing your environment to match your habits if it's an easy fix, instead of trying to retrain yourself into a new habit. For example, um, right outside of my shower door, I used to keep our hamper is where my hamper is. I used to keep my hamper in our closet, but that didn't make sense to us. Like, it looked correct to me visually and made sense that way, but it meant we would change our clothes in the laundry room and then walk naked to the shower. But in reality, we stand in front of the shower and take off our clothes and then just step into the shower. So we were leaving piles of clothes right outside the shower door and not using the hamper inside the closet whatsoever. And for some reason, it took me reading in a book, like somebody being like, you can just put stuff, like, you don't have to have the better habit, like the more desirable habit. Sometimes you could just have a better environment for the habits you have. And so I moved my laundry basket there. It's also kind of why I've decided to keep Windex and Clorox wipes in my bathroom for those random times when I'm brushing my teeth and I look. Okay, so wait, everybody, I'll talk about that in a minute. I leave the room. Leroy discovers that Kesha definitely has her bone somewhere else, and he goes to get it. The second he notices me coming back in the room, he scampers off. But don't worry, we'll circle back to what happens next. I think it's in just a moment. I'm talking to Calvin about schoolwork. And look, she forgets to guard her bone, and now she's distracted, and I've left the room. So that means, watch how fast he does it. Huzzah! He runs so fast. I do catch what happens. I get the bone out of his mouth then, and I give it back to Kesha, but he does eventually win and gets it. And I don't see him, and he eats the entire thing. So what I was saying was that's also why I keep Windex and Clorox wipes in my bathroom. So if I'm brushing my teeth or just doing stuff and I notice that like my mirror has a ton of toothpaste spit on it, I I don't have to then leave where I am, go find the Windex, trust myself not to get distracted by a side quest at any of these points, get the Windex, remember why I went to go get the Windex in the first place, because there's a very solid chance that I just go do something else that requires Windex, like my front doors. Get back in my bathroom, holding the Windex, still realizing what it was I was intending to do and being like, it's the mirror. And then cleaning the mirror. That's way too many ways for me to forget what the heck was going on. So instead, I look at the mirror, pull the Windex out from underneath, wipe down my mirror, and then, joyfully wander into another room where my memory resets and I'm on a whole new adventure. It's incredible. Also, life hack, if you are one of those people who can enter a room and you forget, I read somewhere that it's like doorways are like mind erasers and it resets your brain. So if for some reason you enter the room and you can't remember why, just immediately exit the room and hopefully you go back through the door frame and your brain resets to when you were previously in a different room, and it works pretty decently for me. All right, I lifted up the ottoman and rolled the middle part of the vacuum off. And you saw it really well when I did it, but I did not know it went that far. And so I searched so long for it. This video is sped up double speed. And that's how long it took me to stand up and find the other part of my vacuum. At some point, I was like, did Leroy pick it up in his mouth and take it somewhere? It didn't feel like a Leroy thing, but what if he did? And now Leroy's trying to see whether or not he can get the bone from Kesha before I really come back in the room. And then he gets distracted by Blackberry because he adores when the cats walk by so he can body slam them. It's like they're always playing a game of hockey and he wants to hip check them in the boards, but no one else knows that they're playing hockey and no one's on ice skates. It's just Leroy being a what's a ground hockey? Not street hockey because they have rollerblades. Okay, what's a real I don't know. I was gonna say, like, what's a walking version of hockey? There isn't one. So I guess it's just like walking down crowded New York streets because they do not give a shit and they will hip check you into a taxi. So Leroy's a New Yorker, is what I think I'm saying. Oh, but he's so kind too. Like New Yorkers, I have heard that New Yorkers are not nice, but they are kind. Where like Californians are very kind, but they're not nice. So hopefully I offended all of you. You're welcome. I Who else can I offend? And from Mississippi, you guys are backwater folk. Texans are I don't know, my dad's from Texas. I really don't want to insult them. Yeah, anyways, hopefully I insulted. Oh, also Canadians, stick it. There you go. But that's just standard. All of Canada, you're my deepest enemy. If you're new here and you're like, stop making fun of Canadians, it's a joke. I only dislike specific Canadians, like Canada Meg. That's pretty funny, actually. Sorry, Canada Meg. Okay, so now, oh, I forgot to tell you guys. So I'm doing this house clean a little bit differently than I typically do. I do like to start in my kitchen, but we saw my kitchen's nearly flawless for an Elizabeth standard. But I know me and how avoidant slash lazy I can be. And so I started with the outer areas and I was doing floors as fast as I could because I knew if I went in the kitchen and I made the kitchen look fine, and that's where we were doing our live stream, I would have kind of found a way to be like, no, we don't need to look at the holiday decor. Like something's, I'd have blamed my kids for sure. I'd be like, no, my kids are over there. You can't possibly look. And I would have made you guys stay in the kitchen with me because the kitchen was clean. And then I wouldn't have to show you the rest of the house. I would have been like, hmm. And so this way, I clean my house. And it's not because I'm trying to inauthentically trick you guys into thinking I am a clean person, but because I wanted to show off my decor in the best possible framing, because I'm so deeply proud of it that I needed you guys to see it. So, um, I am doing the outer parts and especially the floors because I would avoid the floors for the rest of my life again. If I could, I would never sweep and mop ever again. I need self-cleaning floors, and I understand that that means kind of like a Roomba robot, and I broke mine, and I haven't been able to confess that to my husband, and it's been about 3 years. No, don't just buy a new Roomba and try to pass it off as the old one. Do you guys think I could? And be like, "No, I fixed it." Like, suddenly, while he was at work, I got a inherent ability to fix electronics that I've never displayed before. And I felt motivated to do it, and then I just fixed the Roomba and now it works suddenly. Do you think I could get away with that? He doesn't drink very much anymore, so I feel like it's a lot harder to pass off my lies. And by very much anymore, I mean at all. He's completely sober, so I can't even accidentally overserve him to trick him into this. But I do wish that my floors would take care of themselves. That's really what I would like out of life. Because look, it's constant. And the other thing I hate is that Roombas are so loud when they run, and I don't leave my home. So it's not like I can, throw food in a crock pot. This is what I think working moms do. Like, I think your lives are so fancy and luxurious. Throw your food in the crock pot, which means you have to get up early, but not in my brain. You guys have your fancy coffee already. You throw your stuff in the crock pot. You're wearing your really cute work outfit that somehow comes together flawlessly, but you never pre-planned it. Like, you don't set out your clothes to begin with. You just inherently have all the clothes clean that you wanted clean, and your outfit looks extremely put together and you absolutely fit in it, and you don't feel like maybe you've gained some holiday weight and everything fits a little tight. And does everybody notice that you look like a stuffed sausage, or is it just you? And your hair looks really good and didn't take very much time at all. Your makeup looks fantastic, even though your perimenopausal skin got all weird and you're not sure if you should wear powder makeup or are you going to wear liquid foundation? What are the olds allowed to wear? If you wear dark eyeliner, are the youths going to point at you and be like, we don't do that anymore? Like, is that what we're doing? And then, okay, so crockpot meal, fancy coffee, flawless outfits. You're on time and you have a full tank of gas, so you're not worried about that. Um, and then like you go bing and you set your Roomba and you leave your house to go to the job that you love. It is absolutely not a grind. And all of your coworkers are really competent and nobody asked you to do more than what's actually listed in your job description. And everybody respects when you're on lunch and they don't try to bother you with anything. And then you come home and your house smells great because your crock pot meal totally works and you didn't add something weird and you're not tired of your crock pot meals because you have more than 3 that you typically do, and everybody likes the food you cook anyways, and your house smells great, but your floors are done because your Roomba ran making all of the effing noise in the universe. It's so noisy because it's a vacuum, and he takes forever because he gets lost and stuck under my dining room chairs. Anyways, so that's what I think you guys do, and I'm very jealous of that. Whereas I left my house 2 days ago and it was exhausting and I don't know if I wanna do it again. I'm turning into such a homebody. It's more than a homebody. I am turning into a cave dwelling troll, but my house is my cave, which I love. I am never more grateful for my home and how much I love it and how perfect it is to me then at 2 a.m. when I'm wandering it. Like, look at this, you guys. Look at my living room. It feels like a whole different room. It is so cheerful and Christmassy. Those rugs really make a huge difference. And also, the pillows on the couch being red really make a huge difference. And it makes me so happy, which is probably why I'm making an effort to keeping it more tidy because of how much I love it. So now, okay, I have reupholstered my dining room chairs. If you guys didn't see that, I did 4 things that I put off for a long time. One of them was cleaning the windows right off to the side, and the other one was reupholstering my dining room chairs. I really do like them. I do think it's a nice neutral color, but here I notice there are spots on it already, and it's from me. So, Sweet Potato has some sort of skin infection right near her bum. And I took her to the vet and we're not really sure. Oh, I'm showing you Lammy's devastating hole. And I put it on that chair. Immediately, Leroy comes to pull it off so he can fling more fuzz bits everywhere, as he did every other time I put Lammy up on the chair. So eventually, I have to put Lammy on the table. Or I move the chair and I'm just blaming Leroy for it right now. No, he does. Look. Okay, so Sweet Potato got a shot for whatever is happening on her hind side and she got a little bit of a shave, but she was also prescribed medication. And from all evidence, it's disgusting. So I had her on the table. I had a little squeezy pouch. You guys were asking me. It's, I think, a Temptations brand. I think people were calling some of them called churros or something like that, but it's like a puree cat treat that comes out of a squeezy tube. Like it's a cat Go-Gurt. And so I had one of those in one hand. And then, so I had her eat a little bit. And then I stuffed the syringe in her mouth and I squirted it down. And she hated it. She swallowed a decent portion, but she shook her head with her mouth open. And a good portion of that medicine went everywhere. So I thought I learned my lesson. And I tried to give it to her again today because we have to do it for 5 days. So this was day 2. I tried to give it to her again in smaller doses because I was like, maybe I just overwhelmed her. That was too much. No, the physical fighting she tried to do with me over it, and then like she foamed at the mouth. I genuinely don't think we're getting enough of the medication into her tiny little body for it to work. I feel hopefully they overprescribe and you only need to get like 1.75 milliliters into the cat. And they're like, the cat will aggressively reject the excess, so don't even worry about it. I hope that's what's happening. Okay, so we have seen my counter way, way, way worse. And this is going to take no time at all. The biggest problem is that the majority of the dishes I have to do are hand wash dishes, they're pots and pans. And that annoyed the crap out of me. Now I have to slow down a little bit because something's going to happen either in a moment or in a long time. And so this is what we call vamping. And I am just trying to draw this out. So my voiceover is seamless and flawless. And we're biding time until something happens. I think I learned about vamping from the Netflix show. I think it's Netflix, but what was it called? Bombshell? No, that wasn't it. It was called crap. It was a bunch of singers and they were putting together a Marilyn Monroe show for Broadway. And I loved it so much. And it had one of the American Idol winners. She was in it and it was really, really good. Oh, this is it. My husband comes home. This is 4 p.m. But look at Kesha. Look at her joy. So she's very excited that Mark's home. He's home a little bit early, so we're unprepared. She is searching everywhere for like a sock or a tissue or her bone so she could show him. And then here's the difference. Here's how I get one smooch. And then come check out Kesha. She gets every single smooch ever. And you would be like, oh, well, that's okay. That's not much. Yeah, it's going a little bit longer. More kisses, sure. Oh, now we need uppies. Yes, uppies. So we can get even more kisses because Beth got one tiny little smooch. It felt like it's a kiss in passing to where he get to his true love, Kesha Dubings. What is this? How much time are we going to take smoozing the dog? Like, look at she tucks in. This is true love, you guys. This is the absolute love between the two of them. And then finally, and then Leroy gets a pet. Like, oh, hey, Leroy. And that's it. That is unbalanced and unfair. And I'm putting it in my divorce documentation. I was going to say the priest, but priests don't divorce you. But I'm going to show it to, I guess, the judge, the priesty judge. And I'm going to be like, Your Honor, look at how much he pays attention to the dog. And he will be like, I see. He owes you $1 billion in alimony and $1 trillion in child support. Probably not that much because I believe I saw that Elon Musk had to pay $16,000 a month for his child support, or maybe it was just the house that she was living in. I feel like in general, I'm going to get less child support from Mark than any Elon Musk baby mamas do. Are there any other billionaires just throwing out babies like that, just like getting as many done? Like, I feel like Jeff Bezos doesn't have kids, has kids that are grown ass adults, doesn't have kids. I don't know. Mark Zuckerberg, does he have kids? I feel like no. Why aren't they having kids? Bill Gates does have kids. Who else is a billionaire, you guys? Taylor Swift does not have kids. I like how we start off like, ooh, come clean my house with me. And now we're trying to figure out which billionaires have kids. This channel really does follow a well thought out plot every single time. If I had to describe my channel, which I do quite often, I would say this content is reasonable. This content follows a logical trail. And when you start the video, you have a really clear sense of what you're going to get from it. I genuinely feel like those are all true statements. So I love that for us. Okay, so we are cleaning this off. What else did I wanted to tell you about? There was something I was thinking about, but I didn't get through it. I'm not sure. I would I would like to pivot to perimenopause, so enjoy the next parts of me complaining. So, my night waking, it was resolved a little bit, but now it is significantly up. And I am supposed to get my blood work drawn again to see where my levels are since we doubled the progesterone to 400 milligrams. Does that make sense? I don't know. Now I'm taking 4 pills instead of 2 pills, and it's a lot of pills. Um, but since everything's still really low, I really want to discuss the idea of upping my estrogen, like upping everything across the board. Whereas like my levels are slightly higher, I want them to be much much higher. I wonder if that is a good idea or a dicey idea. But my estrogen, I'm very estrogen dominant, so I do have a lot of the migraines, I have a lot of the hot flashes and the waking, but I still have basically no hormones. So I'm estrogen dominant just because I have zero hormones anywhere and I'm still very, very low on estrogen in general. I think that's something I'm going to want to talk about with her. See if I can get her to give me more of everything, but also add in estrogen. And I'm a little bit concerned because she did shut down her practice and is opening another one, but there is a transition phase happening right now. And so I'm a little bit concerned about how that's going to go. I do want my labs drawn, but I'm not really sure. Oh, yeah. Also, Mark sits down. Kesha cannot wait to be with him. They are truly the love story of my channel. And I guess I get Leroy, which is fine. He loves me tons. But I mean, it's fine. Kesha is really cute though, you guys. She is the tiniest, cutest little muppet. I love her so much. It's just that she used to love me the absolute most, and then she switched her alliance, and now I'm bitter. Extremely bitter. Oh, my leg's asleep. Hold on. Okay, we adjusted. So, anyways, I'm concerned that there will be like a hitch with her opening up her new medical practice. And then I'm going to have to try to find another practice that's open that is willing to do HRT with me. From a lot of what I've talked about with you guys in the comments and everything, could you guys hear Calvin sneeze? That's insane. Um, you guys are struggling because most doctors, a lot of doctors, I don't want to say most, but a lot of doctors are like, no, it's fine. Do whatever you want. Like, you don't need any hormones or anything like that. And that's fine that some people go through menopause just fine. It just sucks, but, and we don't have to have it be this way. And the thing is that allegedly, from what I've seen, this is not medical advice because while I am a very certified Google doctor, I'm really good at that. I can diagnose basically anything off of. If you give me a Google, I'll tell you about your brain tumor that's certainly killing you right now, um, all the time. Yeah. So these are people they're going through, and it's our estrogen dropping like this is not just a natural part of life because it is the start of our death. It is what weakens our bones. And once you break your bone, God forbid you fall and you break your hip, you're done. You're basically done. That's the end of it for you. You lose your mobility and then you die. And so the thing is, it just drives me crazy because it doesn't have to happen this way. We can support ourselves a little bit better. And it feels like the fact that we're not openly authorizing this for women is batshit crazy. Like they did put, I believe they just removed a black box label off of estrogen. And like finally the US is like, oh, you know what? Actually, this is actually pretty banger. We should do it. Whereas other countries have been doing it for a while, but we were just like, ugh, gross. We don't like it. I don't know. I want women's health to stop coming in 2nd to 18th place. And I do understand why we don't test on women. We had that extraordinarily terrible crisis when we were testing some pregnant women with that one drug. I can't remember what it was, thalidomide, and it gave everybody basically deformed babies. I can see that. But I also think that now that it's not the 70s, when did they start doing ultrasounds on babies? I don't know. But now with our oh, but that is testing on pregnant. We can find women who aren't pregnant and then you can test on them. But wait, hold on. That does because then they can in unknowingly later when you give it out to the masses, somebody could be unknowingly take it and then they could have children with birth defects and that could be an issue. Okay, so it is a risk, a huge risk, but like we just need to see what happens on women. Everything's tested on men and they're like, bet it seems the same. Have I gone on my rant about um the book I was reading about how women's bodies are on a certain cycle and men's bodies are on a certain cycle? Okay, this is not super relevant except for the fact we're talking about hormones. And this I really was so into this book. I was really into the idea of it. And I am into the idea of matching what I do with where I am in my cycle because hormones play such a huge role in everybody's lives, but ours take forever to play out. Ours take about 28 days to play out. And so there are times in the month where we're like super motivated, super ready to do things. Like I'm in that right now where 3 days ago, it was almost impossible for me to do any of it. It was so hard for me to do something. And then yesterday, I had plenty of energy for nonsense. Like, and not just nonsense, it's the difference of me not being able to do anything. Like, it was so hard for me to do a video for YouTube, which is my job, which isn't even a hard job, but it's a self motivated one. Like, I can't fire myself for not doing my work. Whereas if I had to go to Starbucks and clock in on a shift, they know if I'm not there. Like, I can't just be like, it felt really hard to get up. So, you can't get away with it. But on this, I just don't post. And then that's on me. And so, anyways, it's really hard to be self motivated. And even to do anything, like I was out of pajamas. And so I was playing the game of what's the least dirty pajama that I can put on my body? And, I was out of jeans basically, and I had to go outside the house. So I was like, what's the most reasonable outside house pants that I could put on because my clothes aren't clean kind of thing. Whereas yesterday, I got up, I was drinking my coffee and I got up to do something and I was like, "Oh, let's start a load of laundry real quick." And I started the load of laundry real quick. And then I was like, "Oh, since that's going, you know what? I'll just load the dishes real quick and they can run while I go do a third thing." And then it was miraculously easy for me to get into the shower. I was like, I could shower and that was no problem. I just went into my bathroom and showered. And it was so easy to get into the shower and actually shower. And whereas the whole week, oh, it was so terrible. It was really hard. So I happened to be in an active stage. I also think I'm at the tail end of my 2 weeks of testosterone. So I only get it every 2 weeks. And I do believe I get a shot next week. I'll have to ask Mark. He does it for me because I'm too scared to put it in my thigh because I think I'm going to like hit a vein and then overdose myself with testosterone, even though I've been told repeatedly by nurses that that is not what's going to happen. Um, but somehow, also, I think that there's going to be like an air bubble. And then they're like, you're not putting it in your vein. Like, if for some reason there was a little bit of air, it's not going to go into your heart and stop it. And I was like, I don't believe you. I read a book once where, tell me if you read this book. I don't know what it's called. And I can't remember who wrote it, but I do know I read it. And it's this girl. And I know I'm in the middle of talking to you guys about hormones, but I don't care. This book, everybody focus on the book. New topic. We are not pivoting. It's just a new topic. So, in this book, there's a girl and she dies. And she's not really sure how she dies, but she wakes up dead, right? And she's a spirit on the realm. Like she's basically haunting, if you will, but not like trying to haunt. She's just like, oh my God, I'm still here. Everybody else is still here, but like I'm dead. And then this boy she knew, they're both in high school, this boy she knew who had died previously, he was like, oh, yo, what's up? And so they're communicating. He's trying to guide her because he's been there for a little bit. And she's trying to find out why she died because she got murdered, but nobody knew. And then there is like this death spirit, kind of like a Dementor, but before Harry Potter. And he's like, you have to run from him. He'll chase us every once in a while. You have to escape. And so every time this Dementor shows up, they panic and try to get away from everything and all that stuff. Um, and eventually, like the Dementor gets her first, and she realizes that she knew that she had been a diabetic, and this woman in her life, this teen girl in her life, injected her with a really big air bubble and killed her, which is weird because you would think she'd just give her too much insulin and kill her because you could do both. And then in her dream, she realizes that her brother, who also gets it, like the girl's gonna get him next. And so she gets out of the Dementor's like vision and tells other dead boy, and he eventually lets the Dementor get him. And it turns out that his thing that he was escaping was that when he was riding a motorcycle, he intentionally crossed the lane and like it was a deliberate choice. Anyways, um, that book messed me up because I have been obsessed with the idea of just putting, and I think she poked her with the needle through her toes. And so now I am so messed up that I think any needle with any amount of oxygen will kill me. And now, as a grown up, looking back with all of my Google medical knowledge slash degree, I realize seems highly unlikely that you could get an air bubble large enough if you shoot it between your toes that you will kill somebody and they'll just pass it off as a teenager who just died of natural consequences because she was in high school and they were just like, oh, natural consequences, so sad. Like, do what? How are we not even doing autopsies in this story? Like, why are we not suspicious? I feel like we need to be a lot more suspicious in fiction, also in faction, which is what you call true fiction. Okay, got lost. Anyways, what is that book called? Is the end of that story. You guys know that book? It was a really good book, but it messed me up so much. And also now whenever I see a motorcycle rider, I'm like, I hope they don't deliberately cross the line. And it really impacted me. And I don't know why we keep looping back to books I read as a teen. Because last time, a few times ago, we talked about VC Andrews' Flowers in the Attic. And now I have this book, and I bet you guys are gonna be like, it's also VC Andrews because she was crazy. But man, we were reading some wild stuff back in the day. And I really do love that for me. Anyway, the other story about when I was reading this book, and it was about hormones and everything like that. And it's talking about how our cycles are so spread out and how we legitimately have productivity seasons. By seasons, I mean a week of productivity. And then we have like cozy time and downtime and stuff like that. And then she said that men's cycles are 24 hours. That's how testosterone runs through theirs. It's a 24-hour system, basically. And then she's like, and that's why society is set on a 24-hour clock, because you get 12 hours of productivity and 12 hours of downtime in that cycle. And I was like, ma'am, I think you are disregarding the sun. The sun is why we were doing things for 12 hours during sunlight. And then we rested in the dark time because electricity is very new, relatively speaking. And candles were expensive. That's why we're on that clock. I don't think it was because the men folk were like, yes, I feel more productive here. It was like, yes, I can see where the corn is planted. Like that's what we were focused on. So, anyways, I stopped paying attention to that book because it was such a crazy thing to say as like in an authoritative way. That I was like, well, I can't take anything you say in an authoritative way seriously now. And now I'm not even sure if I believe what you previously said. Like, I am not sure if I'm going to agree that we have certain weeks where it's easier to do things, even though I do genuinely feel that true in my body. Like, I'm going to need another source on this. And it can't just be me. I can't be my own source for everything. I was talking to another YouTuber yesterday and he's like, "Oh, my YouTube channel is blah blah blah." And I searched it up and he goes through conspiracy theories and I was like, "Oh, I love this. I believe all conspiracy theories." And he started cracking up and, then we got into like, somebody's like, "Well, some people don't believe we landed on the moon." And I was like, "You do? You believe we landed on the moon? Absolutely not." And so I was telling him about the astronauts' penises floating in space and how nobody's talked about it, so I don't think any men have been to space. And then I told him that dragons are real, they just evolved to be bats, and that's true. Fight me. Don't even. It's true. I think nope, we have to place my mats back. And there are a few others, but the only one I struggle with is flat earth. I believe it obviously because I believe all conspiracy theories, but I don't know guys. It's so hard. It's so hard. It's round, but I don't believe it's round. I can't. We're not a sphere. It's fine. It's flat. It's fine. Anyways, final results. In our flat earth home, that celebrates Christmas. I feel like those 2 things don't match, but look at my little Leroy Jenkins, he's doing a good job. So this did not take very much time whatsoever, and I feel really nice and good and goodest in my reset home. I did do dishes in the sink don't count. And then I needed access to one of the sinks. And so, as you see here, the chicken comes up later in the live stream, but I had to move a pot out of the sink. So, I guess technically it does loop back to counts. But if you were to say that, I would take the pot and put it back in the sink so that it would technically not count again. But yeah, I'm gonna sew up devastated big lammy so that the dust piles can stop going everywhere and get ready for the closet video. That one is coming out next. And here, look at my little cashew beans trying to steal my husband. Love you guys. Bye.